gambling and the culture of gambling, because in Las Vegas they don't even call it gambling, they call it gaming. So it's
Okay.
the gaming industry, because gambling has a negative connotation.
Okay.
Did you know that?
But
So
isn't
that
gaming just doesn't involve money? I usually associate gaming with video games or something like that.
right.
No?
So it sounds not as bad, but the gaming industry there. So in the casinos, which you game or gamble, I always thought it was funny that there were no clocks on the walls. So you have, like you mentioned earlier, that you have no sense of time in Colombia because the seasons don't change. Well, if you're gambling or gaming or gambling and you have free alcohol, you have buffets, you have a lot of food, but you have no clocks. So you really have no sense of time there either. And people can go in and they can gamble for, hours and hours and lose their lose
Doesn't
their shirt off
everyone
their back.
I mean, I get the concept of creating a sort of timelessness where you can spend 5 days without realizing how long you've been there. But don't people have like mobile phones? Does that still work nowadays, or do they ban them or something?
No,
You have to surrender them at the entrance.
that's a good point. Yeah, we have no excuse to not know the time now with mobile phones. Yeah.
Hmm.
Have
um,
you ever, I know that you want to talk about cards, but gambling is a form of, or card playing is a form of gambling. What's your favorite card game?
well, I'm not skilled enough to play poker because the people at the poker table they live there, right? So I'm afraid to play with the big boys because you have to know a lot about poker to be able to challenge poker players in a casino. Those are the pros. So usually I would play something more luck based. So usually I would perhaps like play roulette because I did used to frequent a casino in South Korea, and gambling is illegal for Koreans, but foreigners could visit. And I remember I was at a casino with a few friends, and I used to put one chip on black and another chip on red, and I would just stay there gambling. So I would always win and always lose. But at the same time, I would also, eat a couple of steaks, have a lobster, a couple of Jack Daniels. And when I was full and ready to go out to a nightclub, I would leave. Maybe I would be down $2, but it was a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that takes a lot of self-control, because like you think about, why do casinos, why are they always so popular? Like, no matter where you put them, it's a business that will thrive. It's not going to go out of business because it's based on the human desire to get something for nothing, right? And also, I think maybe it's more than that. Maybe humans are just naturally risk takers. You want to do something that scares you, but that can, quadruple or add a few zeros to the amount that you invest with minimal effort. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's
Have
what
have
it's the same thing as
do you go
like
to casinos yourself at all, or?
I have a long time ago, and what you said about placing, like let's say you cash, you put $20 and or you buy $50 of chips. Then what I did was I said, okay, well, a couple of friends and I went, we would each put in $100, and then the rule was, once you doubled your money, you cash your chips, right? So you have the chips, the little circular tokens. Um, those are the chips. And once you're gambling, you don't realize that you're spending money because they're just chips which represent money. So it's easier to lose a lot of money because it's just a little plastic chip.
That's
But
right. Yeah, yeah. You don't feel you're losing or gaining money. It just feels very artificial. That's what a lot of online games do as well. They try to transfer the money into some other sort of secondary currency, like power gems or crystals or silver or something. And that way you don't really notice that you're spending money, and that's a very classic trick. You were saying something about doubling. What does it mean to double down on a bet, or to double down the lost ship fallacy?
well, I think actually I don't know how to double down in blackjack. I know what you're talking about. Is that where if you double down the bet, you double your bet? So you would win twice as much or you'd lose twice as much, right? I think
Yeah.
that's what that means.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people will lose $1,000 in a casino, and they feel so guilty about it that they know they can't return home to their, family and kids as a loser. So they have to keep gambling until they win. So you have to you have no choice but to keep playing until you come out victorious, which is when the casino really has you.
Yeah, and they have
Trapped.
ATMs. They have ATMs, cash machines
Of course.
everywhere. So you can keep pulling money until you have no money. So it's really important that the gambler, if you are going to play, you have rules of engagement. So you'd say, okay, the maximum amount of money I'm going to spend or lose is however much. So in my case, I think it was just $100, and the rule was that once I lost $100, I'd quit. I'd go into it no expecting to lose $100, but at the same time, if I doubled it, instead of getting greedy and wanting to turn the $200 into $400 into $600, to just quit while I was ahead and cash my chips once I reached the 200 mark, which is difficult to do because when you're on a winning streak, you think, oh, I'm going to keep winning. I'm going to keep winning. But eventually the
Yeah, yeah. The
casino
idea of luck. Yeah, yeah,
always
exactly.
wins. Yeah, luck. Yeah.
Well,
The
I
idea of
always
luck.
think that when I go to a casino, I look around at the beautiful red carpets on the floor and the amount of employees they have there. And I think financially, it's impossible for me to win because they need to win because how else can they afford these high taxes, high property, or to pay all of these employees? It doesn't make sense for me to have any possibility of winning. So I always think the house always wins in the end.
Yeah, the house always wins, but there are professional gamblers, so those guys know how to count the cards. They're sometimes they're like math geniuses. I think there have been several movies about that, right? Where they can calculate the odds of winning, or like you said, you played roulette,
Roulette.
and you basically can calculate what your odds are for, like, let's say blacks versus reds, which is 50%, right? So that's pretty even.
Well, they have the greens as well, and that's designed to stop people
Oh,
get it. So because it's not 50% red, 50% black. They also have two colors of the green, and this means that it's more about 48, 48. 4% is more or less roughly around this, and this means that if you do use the technique of putting one on red, one on black, one on red, one on black, eventually statistically you will lose your money in enough time. They've thought of this, Carl.
okay.
They
So
know what
maybe
they're doing.
maybe that was a bad example. But it is sometimes you spend money. I mean, in life, you spend money for the experience, right? You go out to a dinner and you spend, $50, maybe it's $100, $50 a person. You're not going to get that money back. You're not going to double it. You've just had a nice evening and you had a few drinks. Maybe it was a romantic, occasion. So that's kind of how I think of it. When you go into the casino, if you are going to gamble, you're paying for the experience, and don't expect anything more than that because the odds are against you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think also sometimes when your life is too well balanced and orderly, you are looking to invite a little chaos into your life to make things more unpredictable. Everyone tries to live in this perfect state of balance, but you also have to have a balance between balance itself and chaos. Sorry, I'm getting a bit philosophical here, but sometimes when you feel a little bit too straight laced and predictable, you feel like doing something chaotic and restless just to mix things up a little bit. So I think that's definitely a fact.